Hello and welcome to part 2 of this tutorial. Um, let's get right into the skill tree and goals for the skill tree. Stealth is not super important early game. You can definitely wait till later to use it. Depending on which missions you take, generally speaking, you aren't going to need it early game at all. It's not like Skyrim or any of the other Bethesda games where you can sneak around and shoot your enemies and then go unnoticed and shoot more. No, as soon as you shoot something, other things are going or enemies are gonna notice you and target onto you. Uh, Wellness and medicine. I use these two in combination to raise the effectiveness of my heals with medicine, and then raise how much health I have. Increasing your health is just like old Zelda games where you can either have 3 hearts or you can have 20 hearts. And if you have a choice, you're always going to take 20 hearts, unless you're just a pro gamer that's trying to set a record or something. 40% at the end of this with 4 points. I'd say that's worth it. That almost puts that puts you at 140% health of what you would have. So that's a big buffer between you and having to heal, and then having even slightly better heals. I've heard people say that this isn't a useful perk, but I would absolutely disagree and say even if it's a tiny bit, having your heals heal faster and them being more effective. That's for one thing. You don't want to have to buy heals all day every day, so that's going to cut down a lot on time. I very selfishly take 2 points in gymnastics, so that when I'm going and hunting powers, and I'm going and doing temples, which if you don't know what I'm talking about yet, then don't worry about it. But this allows you to go through those temples and do the little mini game there a lot faster, because this is so that you can move faster in zero gravity. Pain tolerance and energy weapon dissipation are two things that I'm going to be working on, and then rejuvenation. Pain tolerance is for bullets. Energy weapon dissipation is obviously for energy weapons and laser things. Rejuvenation is so that you can heal during combat or outside of combat, which is again going to reduce how many heals you have to go buy. Other than that, I don't have interest in any of the rest of this stuff. Concealment's very cool because it will increase your stealth attack damage, and especially for power leveling on alien planets, that can be useful. Commerce is great. Obviously, I mean, there's not much to say. It's going to make your buying prices lower and your selling prices higher. So you're going to get more money out of, let's say, going and looting a bunch of stuff and then selling it, which is how I pretty much get through the game. But really, it's not that important. But isolation is awesome. If you don't want to run with a follower, like someone like me who has over 600 hours in on this game, I'm tired of followers. I don't want to listen to them. I don't want to deal with them. I don't want to talk to them. So isolation's great because I get a perk for not having them around me. I do more damage and gain damage resistance. And as you can tell, this makes me so happy. By rank 4, you're doing, if you're wearing a spacesuit and a helmet, and you don't have any companions or crew, both your spacesuit and your helmet each give you 40% plus weapon damage and 60 damage resistance. That's pretty awesome. That's almost double your damage. All the other social skills are really great if you're into that kind of thing. Even just doing persuasion is really helpful for persuasion checks. If you're terrible at persuasion checks, then totally put points into that. It shouldn't. you shouldn't really need the rest of this stuff. I could get into all these, but I won't. I don't want to keep this tutorial super long. I'm trying to minimize the size of this. Um, and weapons, let's go over my don'ts. Um, Lasers might be great. The perk incapacitation and stuff like that. You know, that could be really cool for someone later in the game. Early on in the game, you don't get very much 3 kilovolt ammo or whatever for like the Orion, which seems to be the best laser weapon that I've seen anyway, at least for early game. So forget about it. I go with what I know, and I go ballistics. And that means guns with bullets. This one, I mean, 30% doesn't seem like much, but that way I'm not putting points into these other things that are useless in order to get to this part of the skill tree. For anyone that doesn't know at this point, you have to put in four points on this tier to be able to get to this tier. And then 4 more points. You have to have a total of 8 points in before you can get to this tier. And so on to this tier. So I go ballistics, and then rifle, and then start filling these babies up because they're all super helpful. I might start with crippling and sniper certification, and then 1 point into rapid reloading. Since I'm using a rifle, I only need the 1 point. I could go further, and on the chance on hitting enemies to increase reload speed for all weapons for 50% for 15 seconds. I don't know. It doesn't seem like it's at least not economical at this moment for me to put points into that. But all the rest of the stuff, targeting, I just put 1 point into. Sharpshooting, but crippling is important. Armor is important. Armor penetration and marksmanship is pretty killer. Increased critical hit chance. So not just the damage of your critical hits, but instead the chance of doing a critical hit, specifically with non-automatic range weapons, which is what I focus on, which I'll talk about after this. After the next section, I'll get into that. So medicine's super great. I max out medicine right away. That way I can get to weapon engineering, because at level 16 I'm going to get the Beowolf rifle, and if I can switch that thing over to single fire, I can get a lot more out of each round. It goes from doing like 13 damage or something like that per round when it's automatic to a much higher, it's like 60 per round on single fire. And that's part of what I love about that gun, is it's just so killer on single fire. So I will almost immediately put points into those two things, and then maybe a little bit later I'll put points into spacesuit design. It is super helpful. I don't use it enough, but you can add resistances to your armor, and you can change the boost style of your boost packs. So if you like basic boost, you can change one, or if you like me, I like powered boost. One huge spurt when I hit the boost thing. So that's very helpful. I put 1 point into aneutronic fusion because it will be helpful in the long run, but I'm only putting in the 1 point right now because it's just not economical. I have other things I need to put points into. You have to put 1 point into special projects to get the final weapon engineering upgrades. So that's why I have 1 point into that. Otherwise, that whole skill is pretty useless. A lot of this stuff in science is just about surveying and stuff, and I have no interest in it. If you want to do that, it's there to do in the game. You can even make money off of it and stuff, but outpost building and stuff to do with surveying. I've had a bunch of problems with the way this game runs if I do too much with an outpost. So I just stay away from outposts personally. They've trained me well from Fallout 4, which I was also in love with, another Bethesda game, basically the one that came out before this, other than the online ones, which we don't need to talk about. No one needs to talk about that. Fallout 4 taught me well that there are certain things you do and certain things you don't do. Just like my 3 saves rule that I mentioned in part 1. Don't keep more than 3 saves because Bethesda games. So, anyway, in tech, the first 2 things that I think are important to know about is that you need to have 1 point into boost pack training in order to use your boost pack. And you're going to want to do that. So, if you're. Anyway, moving on. Targeting is super important. I never used it before. I just started using it. It's amazing. You melt ships way faster if you can hit the X button and or whatever console you're on and target a ship. Um, you, you can. It slows down time and you do more damage. So it's a win-win. And you can also use it to board enemy ships, so you can knock out their engines and then board them. Awesome. Some people say security. This is basically lock picking in this game. Some people say it's useless. Other people say it's really great. I'd say I'm right in the middle. I've been running this whole run to level 70 so far with only 1 point in it. And honestly, I kind of regret it. I could put more points into it, but it's not a big deal. But I kind of would have liked to have had the opportunities to open doors and stuff. But it's also about economy of time. Time is money, and there isn't there isn't a whole lot of money in just about anything that you can open with lockpick in this game, or whatever they call it. Um, yeah. So piloting is one of the most important things that I want to drill into everyone's brain as like the most important thing on the skill tree. You, in order to get higher class ships with higher class, I keep on doing this. So funny, I can never remember. Um, God, what it's called? Reactors. To get bigger ships with bigger reactors, you have to have this skill. There are 3 tiers of ships. There's your A class, B class, and C class. You want to get to C class because it has better stuff. You can have better. Once you have C class unlocked and you have a C class reactor, then you can put C class guns and everything else on. And once you unlock B class, you're just going to want to right away get that next perk. So, speaking of ship skills in tech, which is all this is to me, really, mostly. So, shield systems, starship design, which also adds to like what level of upgrades you can get for guns, reactors, whatever. It's starship design. And then particle beam weapons, I'll go into in a second. You can go to Commander Tawala in Jemison in the Alpha Centauri system, in the middle of the mast district where there are all the flags lined up right in the middle of that district. Super obvious, big building, the UC military or whatever is there. You walk up and into the left, and there's Commander Tuwala, and if you sign up for their military, he'll send you to the flight simulator. Now, in the flight simulator, all of those kills count toward these skills. So as soon as you're ready to put points into these, or if you want to go do power leveling or whatever, if whenever the time is right, go do some power leveling to get some skill points, and then come back and put them into these things. The percentages on the shield system one is really cool. It kind of forces you to have to take this perk. Currently at only rank 2, I have 40% increase. So if my shields do right around 1,000 points of shielding, which they do, they now do 1,400 because of this perk. So that's a big difference. Beam weapons are superior, I think. I don't know, I could be wrong, but I've been using them. They're balanced between damage that they do on shields and ships. So you don't have to switch between it and something else. You just load your ship up with a bunch of beam weapons. And even if you're at a low level, um, give or take, like if your reactor can't um, push enough power, that can be an issue. But even if you have 3 points of power into your three weapon systems, and they're all beam weapons, you can just really lock onto someone and mess their ship up pretty fast. I'm at the point where I think I have like 7 points into all three systems, and then I have 14 beams. So get auto beam guns. Um, just show you real quick. I have 14 auto beams on here, and so there's two down there on the belly, and then these ones with the red stripe on the top of them. I have 6 of those because, unlike most auto beams you can put up to 4 to fill up that power slot on your ship systems. Some take 3. Those are really cool because you can have a couple more guns. I don't know exactly how the numbers go with it, but it seems like it's a good thing. So that's what I do. Um, so let's jump into looting. And looting, you really want to do weapons, armor, boost packs, helmets, ammo, and aid. The rest of it, don't pick it up. It's not worth your time at all. Resources, if you know, like you have a memory for it, and you know you need a few of a certain resource, go ahead and pick it up. Miscellaneous items like coffee mugs, picture frames, fire extinguishers, figurines. I don't find it worth my time to focus on those things. I think it's looting as a time is money kind of thing, and yeah, just don't bother with it. So go loot up, get over encumbered, and then get back to your ship as soon as you can to unload your stuff onto your ship. I also don't do the unloading onto a traveler thing or a follower. You can totally do that if that works for you. The way my brain is organized, however you want to say it, it doesn't seem helpful to me. It just gets in the way. It makes one added step, and then also I go without followers a lot of the time. I find them aggravating, like I said. So, so anyway, pick up guns, armor, jetpacks, helmets, ammo, and heals. You'll get to know what all these items are when you're looking at them. Run through your list of all your things. Eventually, you'll get to know it. Like, don't worry about if you're picking up the wrong things at first. Or, go ahead and be a total loot goblin and pick up everything. If that's what you want to do, give it a try. It's worked for me before, but I feel like I wasted a lot of time on it when I could have been. Um, there's an economy of how many credits are you making, and then how much time are you wasting that you could be spending on other things, because you're trying to balance making credits with leveling up your character, and I don't know what the other thing is. I'm sure there's probably one other thing. Um, getting better loot. I don't know. So anyway, I'm gonna go and I could pick his body clean. Oh, I absolutely will. I always just pick their bodies clean, and then every once in a while I'll go through my heals when I'm selling, and I'll make sure that I don't have any like food items. Food items are pretty darn useless for healing. Let's look for an example. So like your med pack does a really good chunk. Like your basic med pack does over half of your health. This restores 5 health. So let's see. Next time I take damage... Oh, see, there's my health. I'm down to the middle of the 7 there. So let's find some food item. Chunks eggs. Okay. Restores 5 health. Let's go look what 5 health looks like. It's nothing. It's absolutely pointless. Food is just extra weight. Forget about it. So I like to go get my most out of my looting by just loot everything on an enemy. Every once in a while I'll come through. Every once in a while I'll come through and every once in a while I'll come through when I'm selling stuff, like I said, and I'll sell the heals. I'll throw the resources on my ship if I accidentally pick some up. But basically, when you loot a body, it's most likely, like, I think 90% of the time, I'm guessing, it's just got ammo, heals, armor. So you can just loot a body without having to think about it. And let's just bang through this to kill these guys quickly. Pull out my expensive ammo gun. And normally I'd be looting all these bodies, but I kind of just want to get through this. Whoa. Hey buddy, you glitched out there? You feeling alright? But the point I want to get to showing you is that you don't have to pick up everything. You sure can if you want to, but like power tools, you don't need none of that. Coffee mugs, you don't need none of that. Just like I already said. So let's talk about guns. See, that's what one heal does for you. It's half of my health. Instantly taken care of. No big deal. Let's show you just a little bit of use of these 2 guns. So that was my like extra smoky, extra spicy, expensive ammo, melt people's faces off gun that I just got. But what I really want to show you are these 2 guns that you'll get early game right around level 16. And they're very versatile. This one's my single fire one called the Beowolf. And you can really do everything with this. You don't need a Kodama. I'm just discovering the Kodama on this playthrough. I never gave it any thought. I thought it was totally useless, and then I kind of very haphazardly crushed the numbers on it and went, oh, actually that's pretty useful. I think as the levels go up on these guns, the separation goes further and further to where I don't think the damage per second is that much better on the Kodama. So let's look at its stats. The range on it is only 24, so it's really just for short range. You can't put a scope on it. This is just like a little SMG, like a very small SMG. But it's got a pretty big mag of 66 rounds. That's pretty sizable. Fire rate's 170. So I'm comparing the fire rate and the damage per round. Up where it says Phys, PHYS, with the little explosion mark next to it, that's your damage per round. Damage per bullet. Nothing to do with damage per second. You have to multiply somehow the fire rate, which is rounds per minute, basically RPM, fire rate. So if the Beowolf does 50 fire rate and this one does, the Kodama does 170 fire rate, that's right, it's a little more than 3 times. So and there's always a trade-off in this game that directly correlates with the semi-automatic and the fully automatic guns. So if I say, okay, so it's 3 times faster. So if I took it down to the speed of the Beowulf, it would be, and I'm no mathematician. Sorry, I do all my math in my head. So, um, and I'm terrible at dividing. But anyway, it would turn into 300 damage per second, which is same as this. So, or sorry, damage per round. Um, and with a bigger magazine size, you don't have to reload it quite as often, technically, but you do because it's a faster RPM. Anyway, um, so these are great. The most important thing about these guns is that they run 7.77 ammo, which is the cheapest. It's 9 credits per round instead of 25, which is the next cheapest ammo on the list. Um, and it's good. It works. It's effective. Um, if I just need to dump a clip and just get myself out of a bad situation, the Kodama's great. So I'll show you that gun in a second after I run a little more Beowulf. Um, yep. Where is it? Where is it? See, easy peasy. And this thing just does an absolute ton of damage right now. Because of this latest perk I put on it. And then, see, the time to kill is pretty similar, honestly. But early game, like I said, early game, the Kodama is a little bit more significant and with the higher fire rate. Okay. Gotta get up and close to person. So this guy's a good example of someone I'm going to switch over to this gun for. He's just a little tough. He's got a little bit easier health. And I'd say, yeah, damage per second, or time to kill, is just a little, just tiny little bit better on this gun. Without having to buy some super expensive ammo like I would for any other gun. Anyway, that's it for part 2. You guys take care. I appreciate you. Like and subscribe.